The Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore is a newly designated natural area, having been set aside in 1966 under the National Park Service, U.S. Department of the Interior. For many years before that date, hundreds of people realized that this exceptional length of lakeshore must be preserved, that is, kept from commercial or private development, a place that should really be available for the pleasure of everyone. The majestic cliffs of multicolored sandstone run for about 15 miles along the north shore of Lake Superior. In some places, they rise for 200 feet above the green-tinted water. The layered sandstone resists the forces of the persistent winds, according to the hardness of each layer, and the wearing away by wind, rain, sleet, ice, and snow has served to create wondrous formations. At the lower levels, the frequent pounding of the waves has etched out at the embankment, creating caves here and there, and digging small nooks and crannies where the bank swallows nest every spring and summer. The best-known formation, and the one probably visited by most people, is the Miner's Castle. It has twin peaks, and it rises above the shore on a prominent point. It's easily reached by land, and is equally beautiful from shore or from a boat. Flat, table-like rocks have been worn into the soft rock formation, and these make good resting places for hikers, good places to just sit and meditate while taking in the grandeur of this special, natural place. Careless hikers with slippery-bottomed shoes could fall and injure themselves on these rocks. Tennis shoes are best to wear. The mouse-sized least chipmunk lives among these rocks and races along with no sign of fear of dropping to the lake far below. Not all the craggy ledges are right on the shore. Some are hidden among the groves of stately hemlock stands that have never been logged. This is a place to adventure, but with care. Contrasting with the stands of virgin hemlock are the acres of stumps in areas that were clear-cut a mile or two inland. Logging was done here years ago, when huge white pines dominated the land. Through all of the seasons, the wildlife enjoy their day-to-day lives in the red pine forests. Here they can gather the cones to eat right away and have some to put away for winter food catches. They're quite tame. The National Park Service said that it plans to keep the shoreline as nearly natural as possible. Many of the roads will remain unpaved. You may not like the bumpiness or even the dust, but you will appreciate the canopy of leaves that cover the narrow roads. Roads meant for scenic pleasure, not for speed. And when fall arrives, so do the colors in all of their splendor, making this one of the prettiest seasonal drives in the state. And by then the mosquitoes and those pesky black flies are gone. It takes a bit of walking to get there, but it's worth the effort to see Miners Falls. The clear water plunges over a cliff to the lake level below. From the viewing platform, it appears that the water drops down at an angle. In spring, numerous wild flowers grow along this path. There is evidence that Indians camped along this shoreline. It was a place of game, fresh water, roots, and berries. Primitive campgrounds are provided for modern-day campers. Permits must be gotten at the park headquarters in Munising. The beaches are as inviting as are the cliffs. The sand is clean and light-colored, never crowded with people. However, only during the very warmest weather is swimming possible. Land and water birds constantly search the beach for food, and some come here to nest, all of them leaving their etchings in the sand, patterns that tell you this place cannot be claimed by people alone. The rights of wildlife must be respected also. There is pleasure to be found in enjoying the natural air conditioning of the beach. When the cities are sweltering to the south, the cool off-lake breezes seem so much better than a machine that merely creates cool air. Perhaps the real appreciation for rare places like these comes with the simplicity of a sunset, as the rays fall across the upturned fingers on the roots of a long-dead aspen. Of equal importance with the pictured rocks part of the National Lakeshore are the Grand Sable Banks and Dunes. They're located close to the quaint village of Grand Marais, Michigan. A combination of an ancient lake, glacial activity, and winds created the banks and the dunes. This place was very well known to the Indians, who regarded it with a special religious significance, possibly because dunes like these are so seldom found in the upper Midwest. The desert-like hills of sand rise as high as 85 feet. Some of the best are next to the Grand Sable Lake, which gets warmer than Lake Superior. Bathers like to climb the dunes, but they must be careful. Signs warn of poison ivy. It would be easy to pull out these plants, but they too are a part of the plant system, and as such, they belong here. People don't care for this plant, but the berries serve as food for some birds and are eaten by mice. The best way to deal with poison ivy is to learn what the plant looks like, and then stay away from it. The Park Service doesn't want to keep trail bike and dune buggy owners from enjoying their sport, but the vegetation of the dunes is so fragile it can't stand the damage done by wheeled vehicles. Where the plants are killed by man-made trails, the wind works on the sand with searching fingers, and where it finds a weakness, it scatters the grains of sand and finally wears down a U-shaped path called the blowout. These dunes support thousands of beach pea plants. These plants send their roots deep down and they manage to find moisture. They have purplish flowers and actually do produce peas. They are small, but they are good to eat. The peas are sweet and tasty, but should not be picked. They're needed much more on the beach than in a cooking pot, and they too are needed as food by the mice, the chipmunks, and seed-eating birds. More common than the beach peas are the plants of the beach grass. They are found even at the windiest places because they are especially adapted for it. The leaves will turn 360 degrees without being damaged. The blades are thin and very shiny on the top side. This is necessary for plants that receive direct sunshine all day. They don't lose as much water through their pores, as do those with leaves hidden much of the day by shade from other plants or trees. Flowering plants include the puccoon, daisies, and others. These are usually found around the edges of the dunes, where a variety of vegetation grows. This is where we found the caribou or reindeer moss. It once fed the herds of woodland caribou that ranged across these states. But these animals, like so many others, were killed off by the hunters a century ago. Of the ferns so common throughout the upper Midwest, only the horsetail variety is found out on the dunes. They're miniatures of their extinct relatives that grew 60 to 70 feet high before and during the times of the dinosaurs. The sand is made up almost entirely of quartz, 90% to be exact. Scientists believe that these grains were tied up in rocks, broken from the mass back into sand, and then back into rock, several times over since the earth was formed. Because the grains are so tiny, measuring less than 1/100th of an inch, they are easily moved by the wind. It takes a breeze of only 7 to 8 miles an hour to lift or roll them. This is why dunes are always on the move. Dunes without vegetation to hold them in one place can, under certain conditions, move as much as 60 feet in a single day. In Michigan's early years, some towns were actually buried under the drifting sand. Of course, there's much more to be learned about sand dunes, and one book that can be of great help is the Geological Sketch of Michigan Sand Dunes. This is available from the Department of Natural Resources.